I had told you that we were awaiting a very special guest and she has arrived. So I would like to welcome Ms. Chaya Mehrotra. Born in one of the oldest textile printing families of Banaras, Chaya Mehrotra has always been fascinated with creativity. After a postgraduate course in textile design from NIFT, she designed for her family business of home furnishings and Indian wear. Her loyalty to the natural fiber and an inherent sense of color harmony is a USP. She loves to experiment with varied surface techniques, and for the autumn-winter 2012, she has chosen to work with rhinestones and lent a unique character to the technique. Her theme, the Crystal Hero, originates from motifs and patterns inspired by the art of French heraldry. The collection clearly targets the urban Indian woman who follows her dream, is self-reliant yet feminine, the woman who multitasks 100-odd jobs as a way of life, and yet she arrives at her friend's cocktail looking radiant. I would like to welcome her. Thank you very much, Chaya, for being here with us, and we will give you a little bit of breathing time, after which we look forward to hearing your insights. I would now like to invite Mr. Dheeraj Khanna to please come up and share his experiences with us all.
अभी मैं तो मुझे बहुत मार आ रहे हैं कहाँ कंप्यूटर अभी कंप्यूटर के लैब में डेली लैब में आ जाएगी इसको कम रखेंगे इसको तो जल्दी से आ जाए तेरी सारी अब तो पिटा अब बहुत वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून हमारे सारे आ रहे या नहीं आ रहा जल्दी आ मैं 2 मिनट यार जरूर
Well, before I start talking about the luxury sector and luxury products, can I just ask who in this room has ever thought about having a career in the luxury sector? Can you raise your hands, please? Anybody who's ever had a thought of working for a luxury brand in this room here? Nobody? Okay, perhaps you're not aware of what a career with a luxury brand entails. That's what I'm going to take you through. Well, where do I start talking about luxury products? They've been around for years. They've been around for decades. Rajas and Maharajas of India, kings and queens of the world, the royals have been purveyors of luxury products. And they go back to 6000 BC, when wines and perfumes were made for Egyptian kings and pharaohs. Today, well, luxury sector has evolved. Products and services are available in most of the global leading cities of the world, and including New Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. And luxury products are closer to us than we think. I got interested in luxury products because of their fantastic quality, the finish that they had, and because they were expensive, and not because of the fact that they were not available in India. So without further ado, I would like to tell you what I'm going to begin this talk with. I would like to talk about what the global luxury industry is made up of, what the Indian luxury industry, how it has evolved, and most importantly today, how you can actually aspire to become part of this industry. The global luxury industry is made up of 10 key sectors. To begin with, personal luxury goods, automobiles, luxury hospitality, cruises, designer furniture, fine food, wines and spirits, yachts, private jets, and fine art. Yes, some of these sectors, they may be more exposed to you because now, you know, a lot of people travel around Delhi, malls have come up, a lot of attention on social media. But the visible luxury segments today are personal luxury, automobiles, and hospitality. These are smaller segments, but they are important segments. Last year, the global luxury market stood at 1 trillion euros, and the key sectors that performed extraordinarily well were automobiles, which saw 8% growth versus the last year. Luxury hospitality grew by 7%, and fine art grew by 6%. Not by any means a small growth figure. The core of this global luxury sector is the personal luxury goods. This is also the sector that we most closely see and relate on. What is this sector? I'm going to tell you shortly. The size of this segment is 250 billion euros, it's roughly about 25%. It grew by 13% over 2014, and it is made up of shoes, ready-to-wear, perfumes, watches, cosmetics, jewelry, and leather. These are some of the most important and small goods that are available in New Delhi as well. I'm sure you know about this. In summary, the global luxury market comprises 25. The core of global luxury market, which is the personal luxury goods, makes up 25% of the global goods, making it a key segment. And just to give you an idea about how the luxury industry has fared up as compared to, let's say, the banking industry or other industries that you may be interested to work in when you graduate. This is a chart that takes you 20 years back from 1994 to 2014, estimated growth of 2015. The size of the luxury sector, the personal luxury goods sector, was 73 billion in 1994. It stands at 250 today. Yes, it's grown 4 times. Now, what happened during these 20 years? We had the 9/11, because of which global economy crashed. A lot of businesses went bankrupt, banks went bankrupt, businesses were slow. The luxury industry survived. Then we had the subprime and the financial crisis in 2007 and between 2007 and 2009. Well, luckily enough, and because of the ongoing demand, the luxury sector survived still. And most recently, when we have the social economic turbulence and the Chinese stock market turmoil, the luxury market looks robust, and we are looking at, last year reported 13% growth over 2014. What does this tell us? As job seekers, we need to know the sector that you are going to join, is it stable? Do you want to be part of a stable sector? Now, we know, or the fact, experts in the market know that the banking industry is never going to be the same after 2007, 2008. The model is way too risky. Where does this put luxury products? Well, the demand for luxury products has always been there. Now that luxury products are available more than ever, the demand is not going down, it's growing. Now let's see what's happening in India. So how did this luxury glamour and this whole scene come about in India? You know, we all are aware that luxury brands are glamorous companies and brands to work with. You know, you have these beautiful brand ambassadors, beautiful products, beautiful advertisements that you see in newspapers and magazines, televisions, whatnot. But the truth is that people work really, really hard behind the scenes to make everything happen. And harder than many industries, because these brands go back hundreds and thousands of years. And they've lived so long because they have been preserved very carefully. In India, the year 2000 saw economic liberalization when the government decided to introduce FDI, foreign direct investment. As a result of this, we saw the evolution of retail infrastructure. You know, we used to shop at local markets, small markets like Greater Kailash, South Extension, but it changed. What happened? The malls came up. We suddenly had swanky malls where people wanted to go, air-conditioned environment, beautiful marble, beautiful shops, beautiful visual merchandise, and whatnot. That brought in the world's global luxury brands to India. They started coming, and the trend continues. Now, in our country, there are nothing less than about 50 to 60 brands available. And last year, India was actually declared as the top destination for FDI in 2015 by Financial Times. Why is this important? It's important because to have beautiful stores, to have these products, you need the kind of infrastructure, the retail environment, because you cannot open a luxury store in a market where there is no parking, etc. Now, in Delhi, you have DLF Emporio. Has anybody here been to DLF Emporio ever? Yeah, I see some hands going up. That's great. Did you think it was impressive? Yeah. You have the Palladium Mall in Mumbai. You have the Quest Mall in Kolkata, Bergamo in Chennai, and UB City in Bengaluru. What does this tell us? That the key metropolitan cities in India are now ready to have these brands, and they are bringing their best products to the Indian consumer. But is the Indian consumer still a big one? What's happening? Is India really that big a market? Why is everybody rushing to this country? Let's see. Well, actually, 2%. India currently contributes only 2% to the global luxury trade. But it is growing by 25%. CAGR. That means phenomenal growth every year. Am I interested? Yes, I'm interested because it's creating jobs, it's bringing beautiful products, and it's bringing the luxury culture back to India. India is a country where, as my colleague Mimi, Dr. Schmidt reflected, that these beautiful products had been made by Indian artisans for thousands of years. So luxury products have actually been around in our culture since many, many, many decades. $14.7 billion was the size of the Indian luxury market in 2014. Now, it's estimated to go up to $18.3 billion and creating many jobs at the same time. Why is this happening? Well, the most important reason this is happening is the rise in disposable incomes of Indians, increasing brand awareness amongst the youth, people such as yourself. Today, when I was growing up, and I was actually fortunate that I got to travel in Europe a lot. I studied in the USA, I lived in the UK, I spent some time in Japan, and I was exposed to these luxury markets early on. But that's the trend that we are seeing, which is happening in our country currently. Increase in purchase power in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in India. Well, this reason is not only exclusive to the luxury sector, as you may already be aware, that online retail segment, e-commerce, is also now tapping growth in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So, we are up 24%, and I've categorized the growth percentages into different segments. Let's see what's growing by 30 to 35% year-on-year growth. And then the second one at a 20% year growth. Personal luxury goods. I just told you what it comprises of. Luxury hospitality, fine dining, jewelry, and luxury automobiles. Some of the brands that have posted very good results and now they are looking to expand in the Indian market. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Canelli, LVMH India, which owns 70 brands across the world, is slowly trying to bring all the brands in India. Reliance Brands, it's part of the Reliance Group. They have joint ventures with most of the luxury brands. BMW Group, Audi, Mercedes, all of these brands are posting healthy growth returns in our country currently. Now coming down to the most important part of why really we are here today is to help you understand how you can make a career in the luxury segment. A career in the luxury sector is no different than any other. You'll have to work hard. It takes time. You can't just get in there. But one of the few things that you have to be careful of is that it's not easy to get in the luxury sector. Of course, I'll touch upon some facts. which will help you understand and chart out your path. What are the career options for luxury career aspirants? Marketing and PR. People work in marketing and PR with every luxury brand who do activities in above the line and retail media. Things you see in the newspapers, magazines, advertisements, they're all done by marketing and PR team. Brand management, people who organize everything that is related to the brand, and they make sure that the brand values are followed very, very strictly. Retail management. Retail management involves growth of the retail and the wholesale network across the country. India is a big country, a lot of people, and with the growth of retail infrastructure, there are only more stores scheduled to come up. Wholesale trade sales. Wholesale trade sales involves giving your products to dealers, Indian companies who further on sell the products to consumers and customers like us. Almost every luxury brand company, luxury brand or a conglomerate has a sales manager or a retail manager. Now, depending upon what stream or what segment of luxury you want to be part of, let's say it's fashion, then fashion editors is also a career stream for aspirants. Fashion merchandising, print media, product development, visual merchandising. Any idea what visual merchandising is? No? So when you walk into a store, has anybody walked into a nice store lately? You all go shopping, right? We all go shopping. So when you walk into the store, you see, what do you see? You see glass, you see mannequins, you see nice fittings, you see nice floor, it smells good. All of those criteria are taken care by the visual merchandising team. Zara does it, Louis Vuitton does it, Salvatore Ferragamo does it, Gucci does it, BMW does it, almost everybody does it. But the difference between their quality and design is pretty apparent. So if you walk into a Vasant Kunj mall, like if you walk into a promenade or if you walk into an Emporio, you can clearly see the difference of resources that is used and utilized to produce that experience for you. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, when and how to get in the luxury industry? It's a tough one, but the answer is pretty simple. Get in early. Get in early as possible. It's not only true for the luxury sector, it's true for every sector that you want to work with. Make your way up. Be patient. You know, lately a lot of students, a lot of people, they want success really fast, you know, especially the youth. I cannot emphasize and stress on this fact more than ever that patience is an important virtue. With so many people looking for jobs in the environment, you know, you really have to learn the art of being patient and actually looking forward to give your 100% and developing that interest takes time. How to get in this industry? The foremost foundation of getting into any industry is getting a relevant education about it. An education in the education of luxury business, fashion, or design. You know, I'm fortunately, as I speak to you about this, Pearl Academy also happens to be the only institution in India, in the country right now, which has postgraduate and undergraduate courses running in luxury brand management and luxury businesses. Getting an internship. Now, a lot of people actually underestimate what an internship can do for you. When I was growing up, nobody gave me this advice that how important an internship could be. But an internship is an opportunity for you to learn about the organization you could end up working with, and for the organization to know whether you're the right person or the right fit to be part or not. I know a student, when she graduated, she did 19 internships. And when I asked her, I of course encouraged her to do as many as possible, But after doing 19 internships, she said she was absolutely sure about what the job that she had and that she was going to do it for the rest of her life. And as a result, she was really happy. So I highly encourage you to explore these two options. How to find out if a career in the luxury sector is for you? Well, there is no such thing as sitting at home or an easy lunch. So get out there, do your homework, visit the luxury stores and locations, see what's happening, see what's selling, see what's not selling, see the new brands that are coming into the market, see the new brand ambassadors that are being signed, read about it, read the history of each and every luxury brand that interests you. And lastly, talk to people working in the luxury brands at stores or at headquarters. Anybody you might know, your friend circles, anybody you can get a hold of. Well, last but not the least, what skill sets are luxury companies looking for? The foremost is your knowledge and your passion about the luxury sector. How knowledgeable are you? How close, how confidently you can speak about the importance of luxury in society. You know, like I said in the beginning of my talk, that luxury has been around for years. It was made for gods, for kings, for rajas and maharajas. That meant that these products had to be beautiful, they had to be durable, and of the best quality. And they last you really long. But today we live in a culture and our society is going more and more towards the fast fashion society. So actually luxury products are quite the opposite, you know. They last you a really long time, their quality is excellent, and you don't want to throw them after 6 months or 8 months of use. Your knowledge of trends and style of the segment you are going to pursue. As you saw in the luxury sector, there are many segments. Each of them is different, each of them has a different legacy, a different history, different brands they've been successful, different ways of doing business, different ways of selling them. For example, luxury automobiles versus luxury leather goods. Business acumen and technical skills. Well, this is something that you develop with time, but you've got to have the hunger for it. Personal grooming, interpersonal skills, communication skills, how well you deal with people. And most importantly, a positive attitude. So with that, I'd like to conclude my talk, and I'd like to share a quick story with you, which relates with the last point that I just shared with you. A manager was given the task of promoting one person out of 3 stone cutters. There were 3 people who used to cut stones for a building they were making, and their manager was given the task to promote one of them. And the manager thought to himself, how do I promote them? You know, all they do is cut stones all day, all night. How do I promote them? They use the same tools. So he decided to interview all 3 of them. He called the first one, asked him, what do you do? The first person said, sir, I cut stones. Okay. The next day he called the second one. He said, what do you do? Sir, I do a fine job at cutting stones. The manager was impressed. The next day he called the third guy. The third guy came in and he was asked the same question. The third stone cutter said, sir, you see that castle over there? I'm building that castle. The manager was stumped. He said, wow, this guy cuts stones with the same tools, but his vision is such a big vision. So it's a no-brainer who got promoted. And the reason I shared the story with you was that to build your castle, it will take time, and you will need a positive attitude. Just stick with it. Thank you. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Dheeraj. This was making the unattainable attainable. So bringing luxury just a little bit closer to us and showing that if we try hard enough, we can be a part of that world as well. Thank you so much. I would now like to invite our final speaker for the day, Ms. Chaya Mehrotra. I request you to please come and share your thoughts and experiences with the students.
A very good afternoon to all you bright and young people and the dignitaries here, all the faculty members. So, to begin with, I start with my journey as a designer and an entrepreneur. If you want to know about it, I'd like to take you back to the times. I was growing up as a young girl in Varanasi, because Banaras is where I belong to. I was, though not born there, I was born in Calcutta because my dad had business both in Calcutta and Varanasi. But I grew up all along in Varanasi, and so my dad was a textile businessman, and he was into embroidery as well. He had a retail business in Calcutta, and also he set up this manufacturing unit, actually a processing unit for silk printing, because he never manufactured saris in that sense. So we did value addition on silk saris, and he was one of the first people to get block printing to Varanasi. And having been, privy to such a beautiful craft since a very young age, and then see my dad pay such attention to detail, his quest for finesse, perfection, his business ethics. I think half my business school was done being his daughter, because his relationship with his staff, or the way he would share Diwali or Holi celebrations with even to the block printer who would be there. So growing up and seeing his interpersonal skills with his buyers as well as his people who employed him, I think it made a lot of impact on me. And then, his quest for perfection in every single sari. So he would do somewhere like 10,000 to 15,000 saris in the 90s and per month. And he wouldn't go to our factory. So there were different set of my brothers and all looking after the factory. But before lunch, every single sari that went or was parceled to any city in India, so he would do business only, domestic Indian business. Any sari that was sent out or dispatched, he would take a look at every single sari in front of his desk, and just to look, and he would know. If there is a problem, I don't know how he knew that there's a problem, or if there's a misprint or anything, or the sticker is not there, I really don't know. But then seeing him doing that every single day left a really, really great imprint on us. Then there would be things, which maybe I wouldn't have studied at a fashion school in NIFT also. So we would have this competition amongst us cousins, like my brothers and my father, that okay, if Kajol is wearing in a DDLJ, she's wearing a dress. So we'd be discussing, is it a pure silk fabric she's wearing, or is it a, it's a synthetic Surat satin she's wearing? And most of the times, of course, we would succeed. So, our thing was we could tell even on the screen if it's a pure fabric or it's not. I mean, though it's difficult now because even Surat people have really gone further, with the kind of quality and stuff. But back then it was that. So, all of my interest picked up from there. But then, though he was considered a visionary in his circles at that time, like he did a fashion show for a retail store opening in Mumbai in the, I think, early 70s. So he had some Shabana Azmi and Rakhi and all work for him. So, I mean, we've seen those pictures. But, when it came to me and I told him that I want to be independent, I want to study further. So, I mean, he didn't like the idea very much, because at heart, he was a very conventional, traditional Marwari businessman at heart. So all he'd seen, and he was the person who married off all my cousins at a marriageable age, as they say. So, it came as a thing to him that you really want to study further, okay, do your BCom. I mean, that is required anyway in a biodata, to look for a suitable groom. But I said, no, I want to study further and I want to study design. So when I said textile design, he said, so these are textile designers who come to my office from Calcutta, and they are artists who sell me designs for maybe 500 bucks. So you want to carry a jhola and become a textile designer? I said, no, it's not that, Papa. So, you need to understand it. Okay, then, it was a lot of struggle actually, which I want to share with you people, that a lot of the youngsters that I see nowadays are very, very lucky with the mere fact that your parents are supporting you wholeheartedly. They've sent you, in the colleges and institutions that you desire to go to. For 20 years back, even that was a big deal. You know, to be able to study at Pearl or to study at NIFT, especially from small towns, it was a big deal to get through and to convince your parents that you really want to study there. I don't know, I think NIFT has helped me a great deal. It's a great part of my journey being a designer and the brand that I am today. Had it not been, for it, I don't know what I would have done. So, I think I convinced somehow, and then he sent me, and once I got through, he was the most proud father that could have ever been. So, and then I studied here, and then started my brand in 2010. A few years after I passed out of NIFT, because after that I went to Banaras and I had my studio there. So there I was doing this custom design thing and interacting on an everyday basis with my customers, and we had a good clientele, and it was working all fine. But probably after going back, I never thought that I could really enter mainstream fashion. Sometimes sometimes the life or the mundane life that you start living, it kind of limits your vision in the sense of you see yourself wearing blinkers and you don't think beyond it. Okay, I'm in Banaras, only people who live in Delhi or people who live in Bombay can go do mainstream fashion. But today it's not like that. Anywhere you are sitting, it's just your vision. It's just what you want to do. As they say, it might sound very cliche, but as they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. I would say necessity is the mother of all design also. You design something when you need it. It might be my need to beautify what I'm wearing, so I became a designer. It might be the need that I felt my family and friends, they could wear something more beautiful, so I started designing. So it all starts at somewhere where you really badly want or need something. So it starts there. Like I read about someone who did design these blankets, which are mosquito repellent blankets. So that's not a textile or a fashion related thing, but then it's a creative entrepreneur. If they're doing mosquito repellent blankets, or say electric blankets that keep you warm in the winter, it's actually creative entrepreneurship. So I would take it as design as much. Maybe I as a designer can make the blanket look more colorful, but then that way of thinking has stayed with me. That when I look to design something, it's not about how beautiful only can it look. It's also about what is the function of that thing, because it is in that the power of that how enterprising or how market worthy can that thing be. Can it not be crafty and saleable at the same time? Of course it can be. It's how you project your brand. It's how you project the product. Like we once did this collection last year where our tagline was "Stay warm, stay stylish." So, I've seen ladies wearing shawls in weddings in winters, actually not wearing them, you just tuck them around and you wear a sari and you feel cold all the while. So even if you're wearing a silk sari, no lady wants to, except for teachers in institutes or our schools, we haven't seen anybody in a party wear a sari and wear an overcoat on it. You wouldn't do that, right? So, and then, or even if you buy a 1.5 lakh shawl, or a pashmina or a very rich shawl, you would just fold it and hang it here or on the shoulder. So it wasn't serving any purpose. So we did these saris where the first half was pure silk and the second half, after the pleats, I actually stitched on shawls, and we got fabrics from Jammu. So we said, you wear the shawl rather than just lugging it around, and when you wrap it around, we also did a full chenille sari. We were in fact the first people to do a full chenille sari, and I wore it myself in a wedding and people were envious. You're not feeling cold only because you can wrap it around. So beautifying also the product, making it more useful in a way that it actually stays on their mind also. Now that is such a unique product that people come back to us for it. If somebody buys their friend, it's a word of mouth thing. So not everybody or not everyone, where we've demonstrated it or picked it or kept it at the stores, it would sell because pashmina thing won't sell in Bombay or many cities in India. But then people who know, their entire families have come back to us and bought it. So that's where I'm saying, your idea to what you really want to do, that matters. And being students, I think it's the best time. Today they say, one of my business partners actually, some time back, he told me, Chaya, if you get an idea, and I'm talking about this very successful businessman from Banaras. So he said, Chaya, if you get an idea, if you get 10 ideas a day, execute one at least in the next week. Don't keep it on hold. Because it is about that, the traveling of the idea from the conception stage to the execution stage that defines your success as a creative entrepreneur. It is just that slight difference. So, maybe you could just have a small scrapbook, or your phones actually, just note down the ideas, what can you collaborate, what are you interested in, maybe 3 years from now or 4 years from now when you complete your education, what kind of entrepreneur, if at all you want to become an entrepreneur, what would you like to become, what would you like to do? Maybe today you go back to the hostel and you realize you need something and you see no product that fills that gap. Just write that idea, and if not today, so that way, your entire student life, it becomes a part of your ongoing journey. And you should be here only if you think that this time that you are spending here in your institute is a very important part of the journey that you're finally seeking. Unless and until it is, I think you should give a rethink. All of us should, because again, it sounds cliched, but you have to be passionate about your work. Sometimes I'll say, for example, I write poetry also. But, and sometimes I think, okay, अब नहीं लिखूंगी, मन नहीं कर रहा है, या छोड़ दिया, और किसी बात पे गुस्सा आ गया, so as a teenager also I was very rebellious. मुझे जब गुस्सा आता था, I would have a fight with my mom or dad, I would go tear on my poetry book, and just tear it away and throw it, and say, okay, I will not write from today. If you, compare, because every time she would scold me, she would say, you write so well, but then you don't behave well. So it would go back to that, and I would be very angry and do all that. But then I find myself writing again the next morning or the next evening, because, when you are a creative entrepreneur, if you're passionate about something, or if you're creative at something, you take to it like fish takes to water. You cannot run away from it. So the more you go into it, the more you go into the kind of craft you like, that is, I think, it all boils down to that. So how you are going to take your student life and make it a very, very important part of the journey that you're about to begin with. I think I'm done with that, and if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Chaya. Just like your collection, your stories too were very warm and yet stylish. And I think we had a wonderful time listening to all of your experiences and thoughts. This brings us to the end of today's session. I would like to open the floor for any questions to any of our speakers. If there are any questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is that you talk about creativity. So I want to take creativity on a very new level. I'm very much interested in fashion, and always I'm, thinking about heels for men. So that is something, I feel it is a creative option, because you don't see men today, and I have been studying history. So it was that earlier the slaves used to wear those heels, but now it has become trendy only for the girls, not for boys. So I basically want to ask that, how can you take your creativity to a whole new level?
Hi. That's a good question, see how you can take it to a whole new level. What do you think you mean by that? Do you want to capitalize on that idea, or
something like new creation, invention? It is all about perspective, I understand that,
yeah.
But then you have to always change your perspective, because if your perspective is fixed, you can't try new things. People say perfect, you should be perfect, but I say perfect is boring, because it doesn't give you a new chance.
So, what I'm saying is, you could, these ideas are such that you have to wait for the right time when you can actually execute them on your own terms. Because today, if you take, say you have an idea and you take this heel shoes for men to a conventional store, they might not buy your idea. But then when you've waited and you are yourself in a capacity to create shoes and sell them, or say even put a few pairs of what design you have in your mind, and you yourself can wear them first of all, and so you have more conviction in your design. So when you have that conviction about your design, that is go to from there, so you can take that idea forward. Yeah.
I would like to add one thing, namely novelty for the sake of novelty seems to be a bit empty for me. So if we have a sense of purpose, and function, I think that is more important. And ultimately, every marketing effort is meaningless because what people want is what they need, and something to make life better.
So let me tell you one thing, no idea is a bad idea or a wrong idea. It only comes down to the point that what you have in your mind, your vision, you need to learn the skills and the art to perhaps bring it out to life. Nobody knows what's in your mind. Nobody else knows what your vision is. So right now at this age, at this point in time, having ideas is good no matter what it is. But you must learn how you can make them tangible. You understand tangible? Tangible means how people around you can see them, your ideas, the result of your ideas. Once you get into that process, you will learn whether how your ideas, how your products can evolve. The Red Indians and people in America used to wear these popular shoes called the cowboy shoes. Those shoes have at least 5 inches of heels. 5 inches of heels. Now, your idea of heels, nobody knows, nobody's seen. So if you have a radical idea, first, hone your skills to bring them to life in terms of sampling them, learning how you can develop a prototype. And when you have a prototype, then you see whether there is a potential in the market and tie it with the purpose. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Actually, I wanted to know what is the scope of freelancing in luxury branding? As in the scope of freelancing in luxury branding, basically.
Luxury branding?
Yeah.
The scope of freelancing.
Can you specify what exactly you mean by luxury branding? Freelancing, of course, I understand you work on your own. But what is your interpretation of luxury branding?
It's like if I am working as a freelancer, it's like at least we need contacts even if we are working for luxury branding, as in for freelancing as well. But then luxury branding is, it's like existing brands, how can freelancing be connected to it? Because I can be working as a freelancer at a very base level. It really needs to be a...
See, so let me break this question down. Let's talk about freelancing. In order to be an established freelancer, you need to build a repertoire, or you need to display experience with having worked with, let's say, good brands in the market. So that's the first requirement. Second, most luxury brands have, like I said, in the chat that I was having with you all, that every luxury brand has very strict rules and guidelines and their own inherent brand values, and they don't deviate from those, no matter which part of the world they work from. For example, most luxury brands of the world are either currently, the ones that exist today are either from France or from Italy. You will not find a luxury brand coming out of Spain or, let's say, Argentina. Okay? So you have to tie in the dots between the two. So building a repertoire of successful assignments as a freelancer, and then perhaps getting in touch with luxury brands so that you can show them that you've been a successful freelancer. Only then I can see some scope. Otherwise, most luxury brands, they have their own internal branding teams. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? We have time for maybe one more question.
I have a question for you. Now, after having listened to all of this, I'd be curious. Are you interested in any of these courses? Do you think you've learned something new, something that you might like to pursue?
Perhaps the seeds have been planted and it's going to take some time for them to germinate. So while they germinate, there is a question from the gentleman.
Yeah, we can come back to Dr. Schmidt's question after this question.
My question is, where do you place India as far as creativity in fashion products or fashion designing is concerned, vis-a-vis the other countries of the world?
I think my colleague here is more qualified than me to answer this question.
Well, I don't know much about fashion, but Abu Jani, Sandeep Khosla, for instance, they've become very, very famous abroad. Also, their book has been published about them with Thames and Hudson, one of the leading publishers in the world as far as design, art and architecture is concerned. And also, sometimes famous actors in the West wear the clothes. Of course, the Indian clothes are so kind of country-specific, you know, the sari or so. Somehow, if a blonde person or so wears it, it might look out of context. But there are many examples. Lady Diana has worn Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosla, and I think they're very, very well known. And I think, you know, as far as interior design is concerned, certainly Indian textiles play an extremely important part abroad. I would say more important than in India. So often when I actually show rooms with curtains or so with using Indian textiles, Indians do not recognize them as Indian, but they are used in Europe a lot. Bridget Singh, for instance, in Jaipur, she's one of the very, very well-known textile designers in the West, and she's featured in all the leading interior design magazines.
Yeah, sir, I'd like to add to that question. So, see, in the recent times, in last 4 or 5 years, with Rahul Mishra having won the Woolmark Prize, and Rahul Mishra is a designer, if some of my friends here don't know, he's a designer from a very humble background from Kanpur, and he's worked with the Cotton Council, and he's a very esteemed colleague. And you know, he's a very successful designer in terms of when you said, you know, like your question, how does India fare? So, you know, when Susie Menkes of Vogue writes again and again about such young fashion designers of India, I think India is making its own impact. Like, again, Suket Dheer has won the award. So, you know, Indian design and Indian fashion is going places, not in the terms of, you know, if you see a typical sari or a dhoti, even men here don't wear dhoti. But then if you talk of the fabric, if you talk of the design sensibilities, then of course Indian design sensibilities is being sought after. So earlier maybe the West was only looking at us as vendors of carpets, as vendors of fabrics, as vendors of you know, their fabric for, like my husband used to export fabric for wedding wear to Spanish designers some 15 years back. So they were looking at us as vendors. Now they are looking at us as design collaborators. So now they are not only looking at us as export houses. So recently I had somebody, you know, who was a Western company. So they were interested in collaborating with us. So that interest has been generated because of the persistent efforts, and you know, those have been made by a lot of designers, like, and their success, you know, showing in the market. Like so many designers are there at Harrods, they are there at Harvey Nicholas, they are there at so many brands across the world, and even say somebody like what do you call, anthropology. So anthropology has today more than 10-15 of Indian designers listed on their website. So you shop those designers alongside all your French designers. So I think necessarily in the last 5-10 years, Indian fashion can be seen globally as a success, and it is of course holds a more promising future in the time to come.
Thank you so much. This brings us to the end of an amazing afternoon full of insightful experiences. I would like to express my thanks and our gratitude to the Honorable Chairman Sir, Dr. Nand Kishore Garg, as well as Dr. M.K. Bhatt, whose kind presence here has graced the occasion and whose benevolence has made this entire thing possible. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate the welcome and the warmth that we've got over here. I would also like to express my thanks to the faculty members of Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies. A special vote of thanks to our esteemed panelists who have taken out time to be here with us and share such amazing insights. And last but not least, a huge thank you to all of you, the students of Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies. I just have one line for you all: you rock. Thank you very much.